Good morning, everybody. Today our lesson will be about simple past tense. It's very easy. You have to practice as much as you can to know or understand this tense. How can you use it in form and usage? We have some words coming with past simple tense like yesterday, last year, in 1476, last week, 5 years ago, in 1995. So let's start the objectives of our lesson. We will identify form and usage of past simple tense in affirmative, negative, and question sentences. Change sentences from present to past sentence and practice using past tense in context. So let's start with the first objective, identify form and usage of past simple tense in affirmative, negative, and question sentences. If you talk about verb to be am is are in the past, was or were form in affirmative and negative form. First affirmative sentence with was or were, you say, I was at school yesterday. This is affirmative. To make it negative, I say, I wasn't at school yesterday. We were at the beach last week. And the negative, we weren't at the beach last week. So when do we use was, wasn't, and when do we use were or weren't? We use was or wasn't in the negative form if we talk about the subject I, he, she, or it. But we use were and weren't in the negative form if we talk about the subject you, they, and we. Okay, again, was, wasn't, with I, he, she, and it. Were, weren't, with we, you, and they. What about question 4? We start with was if we talk about I, he, she, or it. So we say, was she hungry? The answer, yes, she was hungry. Or yes, she was. No, she wasn't hungry. Or no, she wasn't. Okay, if you want to make question with we, you, or they, we will start asking using where, then the subject we, you, or they, then the rest of the question. This example, were you at the theater last weekend? The answer, yes, we were. If you want to answer in negative form, no, we weren't. Again, were you at the restaurant last weekend? Yes, we were. No, we weren't. So if the sentence have was or were, we ask starting with was or were. This is for verb to be. What about the other verbs? We have regular and irregular verbs. Starting with regular verbs means the verbs which we add only ed in the past. Irregular verbs means we change the form completely in the past. Regular verb like work, worked, dance, danced. Irregular verbs like bought, buy, bought. See, saw, swim, swam, break, broke, become, became, sing, sang. So this is irregular verbs which we change completely in the past form. All the subjects, we put the verb in the past with them. For example, I worked in the garden yesterday. She danced at a party last night. He carried the heavy box. She bought new shoes. All these are sentences in the past with regular and irregular verbs. To make it negative, we just put didn't before the infinitive verb. The infinitive of the verb. I didn't play tennis last weekend. He didn't clean the windows. We didn't go to the dentist. Okay, again. I didn't play tennis last weekend. He didn't clean the windows. We didn't go to the dentist. So we put only didn't before the infinitive. This is the negative form in the past. To make questions, we start with did. If we don't have verb to be, we have other regular and irregular verbs like swim, eat, drink, and the past swam, drank, ate. In this case, we want to make questions, so we start with did. After did, we put the subject, whatever it was, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, or they. Then the verb in the infinitive and the rest of the question. For example, did you find your umbrella? Yes, I found my umbrella. Or yes, I did. No, I didn't find my umbrella. Or no, I didn't. So this is for making questions in the past simple. Start with did, then the subject, then the infinitive. So we finish with the first objective. Identify form and usage of past simple tense in affirmative, negative, and question sentences. Now we want to change sentence from present to past sentences. Look here. Transform the sentence into past simple tense. She's at the park now. We want to make it in the past. First in affirmative form, then in negative form, then in interrogative form or making question. So what will we say? Is in the present, in the past, what it will be? Yes, she was at the park yesterday. Instead of now, we say yesterday because we talk in the past. Instead of is, we use was. To make it negative, we say she wasn't at the park yesterday. Was not, wasn't, negative form. Question: was she at the park yesterday? So we start with was. Was she at the park yesterday? Another example, I want to transform this sentence also into past simple tense. She goes to the hospital to visit her friend. First, make it in affirmative sentence in the past. She went, so goes, the past of it, went. She went to the hospital to visit her friend last week. Make it negative. Yes, as we said, we add it didn't before the verb and then we put the verb in the infinitive form. So we say she didn't go to the hospital to visit her friend last week. Again, she didn't go. This is the negative form of the sentence in the past. Now we want to make question. Did she go to the hospital to visit her friend last week? So we start with did. With regular or irregular verbs in the questions, we start with did. Did she go to the hospital to visit her friend last week? Well, if we have verb to be, was or where, we start with it in the question. Was she at the park yesterday? So we change sentence from the present to the past. This is the second objective. And now we have to practice using past tense in context. But before we do it, I want to ask you, our lesson is related to which subject? Yeah, present and past in which subject? Yes, of course, in Arabic. Very good. Okay. Now remember, why do we use simple past tense? This is just for you to think. I'm giving you 1 minute to think. Why do we use simple past tense? For what? To talk about what? For completed actions in the past. For example, my mom made some pancake for us yesterday. Another usage, a series of completed actions in the past means group of actions. I finished my work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim. Finished, walked, and found, all of them in the past. Now fill in the blanks with the correct form of verbs. Use the verbs between brackets but put them in the correct form. He wants you to make it affirmative. So you say, yes, Minnie baked a huge cake for Mickey's birthday party. Break and make it affirmative. So what will you say? Yes, John broke a window while he was playing football. The past form of break, broke, irregular verb. Now he wants you to make question. Dots you, dots a question during the lesson. So we have the verb ask, regular verb. So we start with, in the questions, with did. Did, then subject, then the verb in the infinitive, as we said. Did you ask a question during the lesson? Now he wants you to make negative sentence in the past and the verb have. So what will you say? The past of have, had. But if you want to make it negative, we just add didn't before the infinitive have. So they didn't have a picnic at the weekend. If it is affirmative, we say they had a picnic at the weekend. If it is negative, they didn't have a picnic at the weekend. Now he wants you to make a question. They at the party last night. We don't have verbs here. It means the main verb will be verb to be. The past was or were. And we have they. What do we use with they? Was or were to start with in the questions in the past? Yes, of course. Were they at a party last night? And the answer, yes, they were, or no, they weren't. My mother does a sandwich for me. Make it affirmative. The past of make is made. My mother made a sandwich for me. Okay, he wants you, the first one, to make it affirmative and the next one to make it negative. So what will you say? He was ill, so he didn't go to school yesterday. Again, the first one affirmative was, the second one negative, didn't go. He was ill, so he didn't go to the school yesterday. Make it affirmative and the verb buy, the past of buy, irregular verb, of course, as we said before. So we say, he bought an expensive car last year. Okay, now make questions. And we have the verb clean. We don't have verb to be, so it means we start with did. So what will you say? Did she clean the house at the weekend? Students does to the teacher. He wants you to make it negative. As we said, if you want to make it negative, we just add the word didn't before the infinitive. So we say, students didn't listen to the teacher. Now we finish with all the objectives. I think identify form and usage of past simple tense in affirmative, negative, and question sentence. Change sentences from present to past sentences. Practice using past tense in context. Now I want you as homework to write imaginative paragraph about your last weekend. What did you do? Even if you describe different things we didn't do exactly, you can just imagine and write a paragraph about what did you do last weekend. I check your writing after you finish. So that's all for today's class. Until we see you next time, goodbye.